So I just want to apologize, this is going to be slightly of a shorter video. I just don't really have time to make a long video about this, but I want to give my initial thoughts on this comic book. And just generally my thoughts on the whole topic regarding Mary Jane and Peter's breakup going into this new arc in the Zeb Wells run. So yeah, this video will be a bit more off the cuff because as you guys know I usually script my videos, but I'm going to do it off the cuff because this is my genuine reaction. I also just want to apologize to the members who have been waiting for early access videos, and yeah, they're coming in about 2 or 3 days in advance, but I'm going to be making more that are going to be coming weeks in advance soon, so just stay tuned for them. So yeah, with that out of the way, is this comic book good? Not really. See, I'm trying to stay optimistic when it comes to the Zeb Wells run because I know that at some point it's got to get good, right? But up to this point in the series, it's literally just been lackluster, repeating the same arcs, the same character traits over and over again for Peter Parker. Not to mention the Norman Osborn stuff has been really stupid up to this point. There was one good story where Earth would be tested and essentially all the characters would see people from their past who had died, and essentially Peter saw Gwen Stacy, and it was how these characters reacted to their ghosts that meant that Earth survived. So yeah, it was a pretty cool concept, but what destroyed it for me was that Norman Osborn saw Gwen Stacy as well, and although this could be interpreted because he killed her, I couldn't get the fact that this was referring to Sin's past out of my head. Even though Sin's past isn't canon, I just don't need to be reminded of that story at all. So yeah, that dragged that down for me, but returning back to the current arc, I just don't think that this has been worth the wait. It's been a year since this whole Mary Jane and Peter Parker thing was set up, and I don't think that it's paying off in the best way possible. And yes, it spans 6 issues, and this is the first of 6, but I can already see where it's going. Essentially, Benjamin Rabin is a big part of this story as well, and essentially, if you guys don't know, he is a Spider-Man villain that is from about 10 years ago, and he's come back to get revenge on Peter Parker. So what I'm assuming happens is whatever happens in their battle or happens between those two characters affects Mary Jane and Peter Parker's relationship. But the issue is, even though Benjamin Rabin has been a villain of Spider-Man for over 10 years, he hasn't appeared ever since his first defeat, so him being the payoff to why Peter and Mary Jane are actually split up isn't going to be very satisfying at all. In fact, for new readers of The Amazing Spider-Man, they're going to have no idea who this guy is. And yeah, maybe that's just a problem with modern comic books, where if you bring a character back that has been gone for a certain amount of years, you're obviously going to alienate some audiences. But obviously, this could have been someone like Doc Ock, it could have been someone like Hobgoblin, it could have been someone like Venom, a character that the audiences who are reading the comic book can familiarize themselves with because they've seen them in a movie, or they've seen them in a TV show, or a video game, or maybe even some other comic books over the last couple of years. And no, it's Rabin, and I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people that hadn't really heard much about this character until his appearance in this comic book. It was only then that I went and did some research on the character just to find out what I was actually reading and what I was dealing with. And no, I'm not saying that you can't introduce new characters, I'm not saying that you can't have new villains be at the center of Peter Parker's life and his problems, because that's always good. I just think when we're dealing with a story like this, where it's something as crucial as Mary Jane and Peter Parker's breakup, a story that has been teased for a whole year to have this massive payoff, you can't just come in with a villain that no one's ever heard of. But I will hold my hands up and say that the payoff might be really good, the payoff might be worth the wait, and it might actually be really good and pay into the story really well. But at this moment in time, I just don't see that happening, considering how lackluster this run has been thus far. And yes, like I said, I know we are 1 issue into this story arc, but like I said, with the whole run not being up to standard as it should be, I don't think it's going to pay off very well. But as an issue goes generally for The Amazing Spider-Man, it's actually pretty well written, and it isn't actually that bad when you consider it to be a standalone issue. It's just when you place it into the pre-context of what this story should mean, does it then become something that you kind of like, But as a standalone issue goes, it's not actually that bad. It's pretty well written. I'm glad to see Peter and MJ again together. I thought that was pretty nice, considering we haven't seen them together in such a long time because Marvel decides to keep breaking them up. But at the end of the day, for a comic that has been built up to mean so much in the fandom for the audiences, and I know that the audiences haven't been liking the run, but this big build up to this big reveal has actually captivated a lot of people. It's got to mean something if you are hard to keep the new audiences on board, because I'm not gonna lie, you're losing me again. I am one of those Spider-Man fans that has been reading the comic books for such a long time, and yes, I gave up reading them quite a while ago because they just weren't worth it. But ever since this story arc came in, I had to go back and I had to read some, because I was thinking, you know what, maybe this will have a payoff. I had my critiques, I didn't like where the stories were going, and God help the issues that came beforehand, but maybe this payoff would be good. Maybe this payoff would actually mean something, and maybe it would be pretty decent. But at this moment in time, after this run is over, and after I've made my fair share of videos on it once it's complete, I might just ditch the Spider-Man comics again, because there's no point of me reading them. At the end of the day, I think this comic just perfectly encapsulates how I feel about the Amazing Spider-Man at this point in time. Lackluster, some stuff here and there is pretty well written, and you can see that Zeb Wells is actually an experienced writer, but overall, as the story goes, and as the quality of the Amazing Spider-Man should be, it's just not there. The Amazing Spider-Man should be Marvel's priority. The Amazing Spider-Man is one of the most popular comic books when it comes to Marvel Comics. He's had so many runs, so many issues, so many writers writing him, and so many great artists illustrating him on the page. And he needs to be done justice. So whether it's at the end of this run, or whether it's on the next run, just do him justice. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this short video. Once again, I do apologize. I am really busy at the moment, so this had to be an off-the-cuff episode, but I'm currently working on a bunch of new videos, and if you are a member, you will know what videos I'm actually working on. I've actually just finished the script for a Gwen Stacy video, so that should be coming very soon, and I've got a bunch of other stuff lined up for you guys, so make sure to get excited. Make sure to join the members page if you want exclusive content and if you want early access to videos, of which I am going to be making more early access videos, not just like 2 or 3 days in advance like I said at the start of the video, but I'm going to try and do some stuff where I'm getting them out for a week in advance. I'm also probably not going to make another video about the comics unless something really sparks my interest until after this arc is done, so then I can review the whole arc in a whole and kind of just give my final thoughts on the Zeb Wells run. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.